We are looking at business risk management. Stephen Gadai is the MD for ERAND, which is Explicit Risk and Audit Data Limited. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much.
Very quickly, and because we are out of time, what exactly do we mean when we talk about business risk management, and why is it key for any enterprise?
Thanks, Troy, for having me today to discuss on this critical matter. Risk management for business means asking yourself what could go wrong when you are doing your business. Every business is started with an objective of making profits and growing. But the reality is, majority of business, to a tune of 70%, don't achieve the growth so desired. So now, with risk management, you ask yourself, what would make my business not make profits or grow sustainably? And you put in place mitigative controls to ensure that this risk may be like frauds. You've put enough controls to ensure that these frauds don't happen, and if they happen, you are able to detect them. And maybe for a better explanation of this, especially in the Kenyan context, Kenya is in demand of about 1 million jobs annually. These jobs would only come from businesses that are thriving and doing well. And also in the African context, Africa is in need of about 11 to 12 million jobs annually. And it's only 3 million jobs that are created annually. And Kenya creating just about 40% of the 1 million jobs that we need. So that's why risk management is very critical for all enterprises, so that we are able to bridge the gap of employment by having these jobs growing.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you've asked. You have to think about what could go wrong. I'm looking at fraud. I'm looking at internal theft, maybe even by workers. How do we address this?
Thanks very much. When it comes to internal frauds, statistics, or now through risk management, what I've observed, and my fellows in the industry can attest to that, 30% of businesses incur frauds that are not able to detect. So how do we go about it? Within your business, like now you have a revenue generation. You ask yourself, what could be the revenue risks within my business that I need to track? And one of the things that can assist businesses track this is through automation. Automations help us identify where the gaps are, and also use of data for making informed decision making. Because now when you use data, it helps to reconcile easily transactions, and whatever is not adding up, you are able to detect it. And also now use of intelligence, where systems have triggers. We say not operating on trust, because you find most of the businesses, and 80% of Kenyan business, or even Africa, are SMEs, and they operate mainly by trust. I say, Troy is my brother, he can steal from me. That is far from truth. Because the core reasons why frauds happens in institution is because of financial pressure, and you find every person has pressure for finances. Times are hard. So they devise mechanisms of trying to make a sharing or two at the expense of business. So there must be that deliberate effort through continuous auditing and checking of the risk that revolves around fraud. Yes.
And then on the flip side, what is the risk of non-compliance for an entity?
Thanks very much for that. Putting it in the Kenyan context, one of the key regulators of every business is KRA. We are hearing a lot of businesses complaining about KRA, but KRA is not doing wrong, because a country can only be run from taxes. And now every business is entitled to pay taxes. But the sad reality is, majority of businesses are venturing without even knowing what kind of taxes they are supposed to be paying. And this failure to pay these taxes on time, or even the taxes that they expected to, they end up paying a lot of penalties and fines. These fines are evitable. And when these businesses pay these fines, where would they get money now even to scale? This is money that could be being used to do that. Because you find KRA last year collected about 2.4 trillion. And over 10% of this money was from penalties and fines, and these are evitable.
Yeah.
These constitute a lot of time wastages, moving from one office to another, closure of business. There is a popular saying now, VAT special table. A lot of businesses have been put on it for VAT non-compliances. They are supposed to be digital on e-teams. Businesses are not there.
Yeah.
And now, another key thing, not only evasion of that tax, most of the corporates or well-established businesses won't be trading with non-compliant agents. And you find most of the business remain not scaling and remain small because by not being compliant, they can't trade with Safaricom's of this world. They can't trade with banks because they need compliant businesses. And then you are there complaining that there is no business. But it's you yourself who you are cutting the opportunities that were available even for you to trade with. Yes.
So I've seen you also a certified data scientist. So as a data scientist, it's always good to say that give unto Caesar what belongeth to Caesar.
Yes.
And to God what belongs to God. So for KRA, let them have their own, and you have your profits as well.
Yes,
now, I'm looking at companies. Companies do use data for sound decision making. So we decide maybe this is the amount that we are going to, these are projections. What is the risk of a company not using that data for risk management?
Thanks very much. We are in an era where there is a lot of data that is being generated through the systems that we are using. Like everybody on WhatsApp, Twitter, all these are data generation. And you find most of the businesses that are not using data correctly are not advancing because it's only through data you are able to set very clear KPIs. And we say whatever is not measurable does not have impact. You can't measure that, you can't quantify. And data helps us in doing that. Because if you commit resources, let's say like 100 million in a certain project, through data, you are able to track the progress of that project, and you are able to monitor like every cost aspect of that project. If you have like 10 employees, through data, you are able to measure their performance objectively. And there are a lot of conflicts that will be evitable through now objective measuring. Like now, if I'm running a club, I have 10 cashiers or I have 10 supervisors. Data will show that Troy sold 5 million shillings last month, Steve sold 2 million shillings last month, and we were at work the same time. What is the difference? And now, when you put these results on the table, you'll be very objective.
Yeah.
And so now data helps improve profitability, and that's the profit that we talked of, that where it is not applied, there is that risk of not making profits or even turning into losses, and eventual is the closure of companies or businesses that are not using data correctly. And also, through data, there is need for proper interpretation of this data. Because if you don't have the right skills on data, you are not able to digest what does this mean? What does this cost translate to return on investment? Yes.
And I'm looking at what you've just said, Stephen, that application of data to make informed decisions. So how about the skills gap?
Thanks very much. One of the key risks that I have observed, and is very clear in business, a lot of people have capital or resources to invest, but they lack the prerequisite skills that are financial for them to invest their money. And that's where you find a lot of business, as I was saying, 70% collapsing. A good number of this business collapse because the founders of this business didn't have the right skills. Or you find you started a business at an early stage where you were able to manage everything, but the business is growing, there is demand in the market, but you don't have now the skills to manage a business of, like now I would say maybe putting it into context, it's like moving a class 2 student to a university and you expect them to deliver. And that's where a lot of business, they need to invest in skills, in upgrading. Because you find also skills tend to turn obsolete. They keep changing. So we do sensitization of that every business that is forward-looking, they must ensure that development of skills within their labor force is enhanced.
All right. My final question as we wrap up is that we are looking at a succession plan. I'm looking at it this way. When I'm not around, I've gone for leave, somebody else will sit in here. But there are some companies where you find that you're the only one who knows how to do something. Even the only one who can invoice things, you're the only one who can purchase things. How do we work around this so that we may avoid such scenarios? How is it?
Thanks very much for that. And to put it into context, at least all of us saw what happened during COVID. Founders of business, they were healthy yesterday, and today they didn't wake up. So now that comes now to the succession issue. And what cures now succession is ensuring that every business has clarity in terms of standard operating procedures. We popularly call them SOPs. These SOPs guide us on what happens, why, when, and timelines, so that if I don't report work today, like now I'm here on TV, my business should not stop, should be operating. Because these SOPs, we call them as institution Bible or institution constitution as the reference point. And this ensures that the business continues.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately, Stephen Gadai, we are out of time. And thank you indeed so much for your insight. And this is a conversation that we need to open up, because I also would like to know exactly what you do as a certified data scientist. But we have been looking at business risk management. It's a conversation that we need to also relook, and especially if you are having an SME, which mostly you find all these challenges, mostly they don't find those big companies, those established ones, but you as a small scale trader, because 40%, 60% of these businesses are small scale.